Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Core Set 2020 draft here on Magic Online. Just waiting for this cue to fire, but before it does, I do want to remind you that if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help me out a ton, helps me make more videos, so if you want to see more videos and support the channel at the same time, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really does help. If we get to 50 thumbs up, I will do my utmost to post another video tomorrow. Also, if you have any questions at all, be sure to leave those in the comment section down below. Let me know whether you prefer Magic Online or MTG Arena. Of course, Magic Online right now does have Draft for Core Set 2020, while MTG Arena does not. But I really do love hearing your preferences. I actually posted a poll on my channel, and it went 50-50. So half the people preferred, half the people said Arena for Sealed, half the people said Core Set 2020 Draft. But and then finally, subscribe to the channel to get updates whenever I post new content. If you want to further support the channel, be sure to consider doing so on Patreon. But we have our pack here. I just want to double check that my camera is not blocking, and it is not, so this is perfect. Very good for us here. I'm going to open the display window so you can see all of the cards here. But without further ado, let's get into the pack. That's why I did start it a little bit early so I could analyze the pack. We have a very good rare. Shifting Ceratops is better than any common or uncommon in the set, so we're definitely going to be taking that here. Just 4 mana, 5/4, can't be counter protection from blue. I'll make sure this card window is big so you can see that as well. Very good card. God's Willing is a very strong uncommon. Not only is it a good combat trick, but it can also knock off a pacifism or a decision. No, not decision. A sleep paralysis that your opponent puts on your creature. You give your creature protection, and then it knocks that off. So that would definitely be my second pick. And then I think I would either take Gorging Vulture, Agonizing Siphon, or Agonizing Siphon. And then fourth, I would take the Raise the Alarm. But definitely going to start with a Shifting Ceratops here. We will be... Let's just double check. Okie doke. Perfect. I'll just move this slightly over. And perfect. And now I am perfect. Oh, great. I'm really liking this. This is working out well. And yeah, okay. Looking at our uncommon, we have a Chandra's Spitfire. I don't think this card is that good because a lot of the time the non-combat damage is not going to happen before you actually get into combat, so it's not going to be that big. So I'm not a huge fan of taking the Chandra's Spitfire early. I do think Disfigure is a pretty strong removal spell. -2/-2 for 1 mana is like a shock, but it does have extra applications because you can use it mid-combat to win a combat that you might not otherwise have done. And so Disfigure is a quite powerful card as well. I don't have any preference towards color pairs at this point, but I do like Disfigure. Looking at the Olivine Reclamation, this card's all right, but I think I'd rather just start with a Disfigure here, make sure I don't fall behind early. The best common in the set, though, is going to be Murder, and I'm going to definitely take Murder over a Disfigure. There's also a Cloudkin Seer, which is a very strong blue common, but I think Murder is significantly better. Just 3 mana deal with any creature is very good. So in this pack, I think I'd go Murder, and then it's very close between Disfigure and Cloudkin Seer, and then after those two, maybe I would take a Agonizing Siphon. But we start off pretty strong here. We have Shifting Ceratops into Murder. We would like to play either black or green here, though we are by no means committed to either of these colors, and it does not look like this pack is overall that powerful. Devout Decree is a very strong sideboard card. Taking these cards relatively highly so that you can have good sideboard cards is nice, and I would encourage you to do so in your drafts. This one isn't a color hoser in either of the colors I already have, but that's not a big deal. I could still just be a green-white deck or a black-white deck, so I'm not like too committed. I don't have any color preferences at this point in the format. Unchained Berserk, I am still trying to read signals too. Unchained Berserker is a pretty good card. You're going to want to main deck this a lot of the time because if you are playing against a white deck, it's a complete beating, and against non-white decks, it still does have some utility as a potential attacker that can trade for a card, and you will just side it out in those matchups. Blossoming Sands is fine if I ended up wanting to splash white, maybe for a pacifism, though I don't necessarily want to do that. And then looking at the commons, there's another common that calls to me. Octoprophet's probably the best common, but since there's not really any common that's insane, I think I'm just going to take let's just take the Devout Decree. In case we do end up white, we have a very strong sideboard card for a white deck potentially, and this type of card, it's hard to state, like, truly reflect how powerful the type of card is, especially because that pack was relatively weak. Octoprophet might have been the best common in that pack, but I don't really necessarily want to move out of these colors for like just an Octoprophet, but Devout Decree could be a fine sideboard card, and even a fine splash card. I don't really want to take a Blossoming Sands there either. Pattern Match is interesting because if you can get multiple copies of a card, that can be pretty potent, especially picking it up early. It's a very flexible card, and I think it's probably just going to be the pick here. I'm not 100% sure what my colors are, so taking a Pattern Match, I think I'll probably be able to get a couple of 2-ofs in my deck. I'll be prioritizing those, of course, and Pattern Matcher can do some good work. And because it's colorless, it gives me a lot of flexibility early. Green is looking pretty open. There's a Ferocious Pup, which can be good for the go wide decks. Growth Cycle, which is a pretty good combat trick. Netcaster Spider, great for the defensive decks. And then Sedge Scorpion, which is just a solid card, especially with Rabid Bite. But I'm not going to commit too hard to green, even though I do have a pretty good green card already. I'll just take the Pattern Matcher and leave myself a little bit more open. This pack, all of the uncommons and the rare is missing, so I'm not really getting huge amounts of signals because there could just be very powerful uncommons and rares, but I will say Boneclad Necromancer is a very powerful card. 5 mana for a 3/3 and a 2/2 is just a good rate. It's not like a bomb rare or anything, but it's just a powerful effect. You get 2 bodies, it just very reliably going to have 2 bodies, and there are ways to use multiple bodies, like the Moldervline Reclamation that we passed up on already. Growth Cycle is another fine option, especially if I end up in green. There's also some more blue cards, so I think blue-green might be the most open combination. I could just take a Octoprophet here and speculate, and I think I am going to do that here. I've been seeing a couple of blue signals. There is a Growth Cycle, but I don't tend to prioritize combat tricks super highly. Boneclad Necromancer is fine, and I do have a Murder, but I'd rather find the open color combinations than just fully commit to a color combination early based on the fact that I have 1 Murder. Overall, the benefit of playing 1 Murder and a bunch of mediocre black cards is going to be outshined by the fact that I could potentially have an Octoprophet and a lot of great blue cards. And I am a little bit rewarded here with a Scholar of Ages. Scholar of Ages is quite potent, especially if I end up in blue-black. I could still be in that color combination. There's also an Octoprophet, which is a pretty solid common, I'd say. So I could just be seeing nice little blue signals here. There's also a Befuddle, which could go well with a Scholar of Ages to buy it back. Scholar of Ages is definitely the most powerful card in this pack by a large margin, and definitely a card that I would be happy to build around potentially. Jungle Hollow could let me splash potentially in a green-black deck, but maybe splash like Devout Decree or something, but I think we're just going to take the Scholar of Ages and see what's open. It's just the most powerful card in the pack by a lot. I don't really need to start going overboard on Octoprophets at this point. Okie doke. Now here I see Cryptic Caves. This is a card that I haven't actually gotten a chance to try out, but it seems like it could be pretty effective, especially in a deck that might want to run 18 lands. When you have a 7-drop like Scholar of Ages, running 18 lands becomes more reasonable, and Cryptic Caves becomes a nice way to have an 18th land that actually can trade itself in for a card in the late game. So I think I might just take the Cryptic Caves here, try it out. I'm not 100% sure. This could definitely be a pick that I wouldn't do it later in the format. I think that Sedge Scorpion is definitely something to keep in mind, just a 1-mana early way to get on the board. It kind of puts me more firmly into green, though at this point I could just be a blue-black deck or something of that nature. Growth Cycle is also fine. I have seen a lot of those. I don't think Fairy Mist Green is worth going for. It just generally doesn't pan out. Even like you're like, oh, but you could have gotten 2 of them. The thing is even if you have 2 of them, you kind of want to have like 5 copies, because keep in mind, a 1-mana 1/1 flyer just doesn't impact the game enough to be worth playing in your deck. If you draw that type of card on turn 5 or something like that, it just is so bad that it really has to be like worth it. And the fact that you don't draw a copy for your draw a card for the first one you play, and it just gets much worse later on into the game. So Retributive Wand, maybe a card I would want in the sideboard, but I don't really like that card. Fathom Fleet Cutthroat's an option. I think I'm considering Swift Pierce, Water Cliffs, or Heart Pierce. I think I'm going to take the Cliffs. Just a nice card to potentially enable a splash. I'm not 100% sure where I am in terms of colors, and so that could be a nice card. Gorging Vulture coming back, pretty good sign for me. This card is quite good, especially with Scholar of Ages. Definitely a card I'm going to take, and I think that could be a signal that black is open. I think Sedge Scorpion's probably pretty good too. Don't know why that came back. And Raise the Alarm probably could afford, like, probably shouldn't be in the pack as well. But Gorging Vulture is definitely a card I'm happy to take. And now a Blade Brand, that works well with Scholar of the Ages. Definitely going to take that over a Vial of Dragonfire. I'm not going to need this type of inefficient removal, and I'm generally not going to be super happy with it. And now there is a Blossoming Sands. If I did want to splash, potentially a Devout Decree. There's also a Sorcerer of the Fang. Sometimes you just really need a 2-drop to be on defense. I think I'd rather have that over a very clunky finisher, and I don't have any 2-drops right now, so I will just take the Sorcerer of the Fang. Sometimes you just need to have a 2-drop to play on turn 2. And now a Growth Cycle or a Prismite. I don't really like Prismite at all, so we will just take Growth Cycle on the off chance we end up green. Now we will take a Tranquil Cove. That could potentially allow us to splash Devout Decree out of the board, and we could just be splashing more options. And now a Befuddle. I'm fine running 1 Befuddle in my deck and an Island. Let's just double check the... Okay, perfect. Looks like the... I just don't want to make... I want to make sure nothing's being blocked. Perfect. Yeah, so far our deck is looking pretty good. And great, we're not blocking anything. Perfect. I will say Flood of Tears is not like an insane card or anything. a lot of the time, you're just not going to pull too far ahead with this card. You're going to get to put one permanent into play, but then your opponent's going to untap before you do. And if you're returning 4 permanents, why are you casting Flood of Tears in the first place? So I'm not a huge fan of the card, and I'm not going to be taking it here. Shared Summons, similarly, not a card that I'm a super big fan of. 5 mana to draw 2 specific cards is generally not like that good, or it just in limited, like even if I get like a Scholar of Ages and Shifting Ceratops, it just isn't really something I would really be going for, and it looks like I'm going to be a blue-black deck anyway. There's an Audacious Thief, which is a card I do like quite a bit, especially in combination with cards like Murder, Bladebrand, Befuddle. All of these cards can potentially help my Audacious Thief get in for multiple times and provide me a decent amount of value. It's not looking like I'm going to be playing red. I didn't see like any good red cards pack 1, so even though there are some good red cards here, I'm mostly looking at the blue, green, and black cards in this pack, and maybe even potentially white because I did see a late Raise the Alarm. However, we're just going to take an Audacious Thief over probably the Shared Summons and Pulse Marassa. I don't think green is as likely. We first picked a Shifting Ceratops and really didn't see a ton of cards that were worth taking in green after that. So we're just going to hope for the best here. So let's just see what our curve looks like. Okie doke. And we're probably going to try and maybe run 18 lands to go with this Cryptic Caves. So looking at this pack, Meteor Golem is just a very solid enters the battlefield effect, another 7-drop. Kind of makes me justify the 18 lands pretty well. It's also a good card to get back with Soul Salvage, getting back that, and a Scholar of Ages is quite good. I think Meteor Golem is very powerful, especially because it can just be an answer to anything. I really like that. It's very flexible in that way. Barkhide Troll is a good green card, but as I said, I didn't really see any good green cards pack 1. I was mostly just seeing like pretty good black cards. I got past a Murder second pick. I saw late Gorging Vulture on the wheel, and I'm not like super committed to black, but I wouldn't mind playing it either. And I did see some decent blue cards late, like the Scholar of Ages, though I could just be a black-green deck still, so I'll just keep that in the mix. Meteor Golem also keeps me flexible. It is colorless and does work with a decent number of things I could potentially want to do. So I think I'm just going to take the Meteor Golem over probably a Decision Paralysis. I'm not going to be looking to play white. I could take a Barkhide Troll, but that's much less flexible, and I still am not 100% sure which direction I'm going with this deck. Okay, seeing this pack, I don't think Colossus Hammer is playable. I was going to say this in the last pack, but I ran out of time. 8 mana to equip is just way too much. In this pack, the best cards are Cloudkin Seer. This card is excellent. Just 3 mana, 2/1 draw a card with flying is just like, what the heck? How is that even a card? Agonizing Siphon is quite good with the Audacious Thief, and it looks like black is the only color I'm fully committed to, so that could be like a consideration, like just take a good removal spell. You're guaranteed to play it because black is definitely a color you're playing, and it just gives you, it's another good card that works with Audacious Thief quite well. If you're looking at my blue cards versus my green cards, I have 3 versus 1, but a lot of my, but my green card is quite good, and definitely something to consider. Even though I do like Scholar of Ages in a blue-black deck. There is another Cloudkin Seer to potentially put me even further into blue, but I could just also just stay more flexible with an Agonizing Siphon. I think Cloudkin Seer is a little bit better than Agonizing Siphon, though. So I think I'm just going to take that. I don't mind an Agonizing Siphon. I think it's quite a good card, especially the first copy, but we'll maybe see one later, and I think taking Cloudkin Seer is pretty powerful here. And now we can maybe get a Bloodthirsty Artist. I think Temple of Epiphany is playable, even if you're just one of those colors, like if you're just blue, and maybe I could use that along with Swiftwater Cliffs to splash a red card if I see a powerful single-colored red card. But there's also a Bloodthirsty Aerialist, which is just very powerful. 3 mana, 2/3 flyer that can potentially get bigger. It's just nice. There's also Agonizing Siphon, which I wouldn't mind picking up a copy of. There's some more blue cards in this pack, so I don't think Temple of Epiphany is worth taking here, especially because I do not have a red card I'm currently splashing. Bloodthirsty Aerialist is quite good, though. 3 mana, 2/3 flyer with upside. Just a good card. Agonizing Siphon I wouldn't mind getting, and I think I would take the Agonizing Siphon over the Bone Splinters at this point because I don't really have a ton of good sacrifice fodder, but I'm really happy to getting a Bloodthirsty Aerialist here, and I will be taking that. I do want to mention, I mean, there's another Devout Decree if I ever wanted to splash white, but it's looking like I'm not really going to be moving into green all that much, and I think Bloodthirsty Aerialist is going to be a fine card. I do need to pick up some more 2-drops, and I wouldn't mind getting an Agonizing Siphon at some point. What is this guy? Pay 2 life, target creature. Oh my gosh. So this card is like a insane late game bomb if you can get to 8 mana, which is a lot. But keep in mind, I am kind of planning on playing 18 lands, and this card could be just fun to try out. I honestly don't know how. Probably not that good. I would be taking it over probably Boneclad Necromancer. But you know, sometimes you just gotta try things out. Maybe the format's slower than I think it is, and I might just be able to assemble a deck that can just stall the game, get a ton of value late game, and just guarantee a win with a cool Villas Broker Blood. I kind of just want to try it out. You never know how good something is until you try it out. Like, sure, it might not seem optimal. It does die to a lot of things, but, I mean, could be powerful, and we'll try it out. I mean, I'm not saying it's optimal, of course, but, you know, you gotta try things out. And this could be a good deck for Moat Piranhas now, so we could maybe get some of those pretty late. I don't need any more late game. I already have these 3 cards to be just the best late game ever, and we're just going to try Sleep Paralysis maybe, and then maybe get some Moat Piranhas on the wheel, because nobody else really wants those. Pulse of Moross is a card I could consider splashing, but I don't think I really want to be splashing that type of effect. We'll take Sleep Paralysis as a nice removal spell. Mystic Forge. You cast the top card if it's an artifact or colorless card, and I can pay 1 to exile the top card. I do have 2 artifacts in my deck, but that's too few to make this worth playing. That being said, I'm not a fan of Sanitarium Skeleton. It's just too expensive for what it does. Zephyr Charge, not a card I'm a huge fan of either. I could take a Prismite just because I might need a 2-drop. Mind Rot could be a fine sideboard card. Windscarred Crag, probably not going to happen. I could still consider splashing Devout Decree if I using this Tranquil Coves. Let's just take the Prismite so I can have a 2-drop potentially. You never know when you'll need one. And Agonizing Siphon came back. That's excellent news. I'm going to take it over the Gorging Vulture. I do like Gorging Vulture, but I think having an Agonizing Siphon is going to be really key in this deck. Keeps my life total high so I can get there to that Villas. Bone to Ash would also be a fine card, but I don't really have a ton of instants. I have this one Befuddle, this Blade Brand. And I do just want to get Agonizing Siphon. It's a really good card to buy back with Scholar Rage. Just buys you even more time. And even though I do like Gorging Vulture a lot, I think you need to make sure you prioritize the right things. So right now I have a couple of removal spells. I have 1, 2... only really 2 removal spells, and just getting an Agonizing Siphon is great. Now, Moat Piranhas is a key pickup here. I'm just going to be trying to grind my opponent out in the late game, and so Moat Piranhas being able to stall early is huge for me. Now, I get an Octoprophet, another solid 4-drop that scries me into my late game powerhouses. I'm fine taking that. Barony Vampire probably not making the cut. I guess we'll just take Unchained Berserker, maybe. I don't think we're ever going to play the Barony guy. Let's just take the uncommon. And now we'll get a Negate for the sideboard. That's a fine on pickup. Another Blade Brand could be awesome. Metropolis Sprite's not really a card I like on defense, and I don't really want to play this card because I'm planning to go to the late game. So Blade Brand could just be a nice option for keeping me alive, and I picked up a big guy anyway. Unholy Indenture's not a card I think is playable. But I think my deck is looking pretty strong right now. This life gain's also really good with Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Pattern Matcher can get me a second Octoprophet. I'm not going to play the Feral Abomination. Probably not going to play this Prismite. I'm hopefully just going to get a bunch of Moat Piranhas and be able to stall the game really well and just win with my like incredible late game. I would really like a Soul Salvage because Soul Salvage forms like an infinite loop with Scholar of Ages, which is quite powerful. Okie doke, Temple of Mystery. This card is going to be playable in just a blue deck, any blue deck, so that's something to keep in mind. Gorging Vulture, also nice. If I can get some Soul Salvage action, I can maybe get... I really want to get a Soul Salvage to work with the Scholar of Ages and just be great with Gorging Vulture. I think Gorging Vulture is a very strong consideration in this pack. There's also a Boneclad Necromancer, though I don't really want to prioritize expensive cards as much. This card does help you stall the board quite well because it does make 2 bodies. I think I'm leaning towards the Gorging Vulture. Salvager of Ruin has not been super impressive to me. I'm not going to just take a Temple of Mystery here. But Gorging Vulture strikes me as a good pickup here. Just a solid option. I don't mind having another 3-drop creature. It can work well with the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Fills my graveyard for if I can get a reanimation spell to work with this guy. Overall, just helps me a lot in many ways, and I'm just pretty fine picking that up. Boneclad Necromancer is probably number 2, and then I'd just take the Temple of Mystery for a land that scribes when it enters and maybe helps me smooth my draws a little bit. But Gorging Vulture it is. Captivating Gyre I think is more of a card for an aggressive strategy, though, yeah, pretty much you don't want this in more of defensive decks because returning the 3 creatures just like kind of stalls a very short amount, and overall you're not really like going to care that much about. They'll just replay the creatures and you're still in trouble. So I think this is more of an aggressive strategy. You play this, bounce all the creatures, and then win the game with that tempo. Audacious Thief is a fine card, but again, I'm not a super aggressive deck here. I'm just kind of a stall deck. I'm not really going to have enough time to get Undead Servants. I don't know even if it's worth going for. There is a pacifism in this pack. I could consider splashing off of this card, but I don't really have enough fixing to make that work. So I think taking an Audacious Thief could be fine. It's also just a fine deterrent, because if I have an Audacious Thief in play, my opponent's going to want to hold back a blocker so that I can't just attack them and start drawing cards. So I think the Audacious Thief is a fine pickup, and it can give me some nice little aggressive draws. Now, in this pack, Blight Beetle, not really a card that I think would be main deckable, but it's a fine sideboard option. Blood Burglar would be a fine card for me to main deck just because getting that extra life gain could be pretty key in my more defensive deck. But I think Frostlinks is the best card in this pack by a pretty wide margin. The problem is I just kind of need 2-drops. Frostlinks would definitely be able to maybe replace an Audacious Thief or this Befuddle or something. But I do already have quite a few 3-drops. Also, a second Audacious Thief works well with my Pattern Matcher. That's another good thing about getting multiples of things. So I could just take a Blood Burglar here to make a very disciplined pick. But I think the Frostlinks is going to be very good in this type of deck. A kind of more slow, stally deck. Keep in mind that let's put all the expensive cards there and then all my removal here. These are not really creatures either. So this is more my creature curve. I think I just need a 2-drop really badly, and gaining that extra life could be huge. Let's just take the disciplined pick. I think that's probably the correct pick overall. Now I can take a Temple of Silence, just a tap land that scries me one. Could be pretty nice. I don't really like the Retributive Wand. Temple of Silence also kind of helps my white splash if I ever want to bring this Devout Decree in, which is also a nice little bit of upside. So we'll just take the Temple of Silence here. There's not really a ton of other options. I don't like Sanitarium Skeleton. It's just too slow, and I don't. Even though I could like mill it over with Gorging Vulture, I just don't think it's worth playing. And now there's a Bone to Ash. There's also another Pattern Matcher, which could be a fine option. Just a 4-mana 3/3. I have now got 1, 2, 3 multiples. So that could be a fine option. Another Gorging Vulture. Just, you can pretty much play however many of these you want. I could still have several, like 3 picks. I think, no, 2 picks to see a, no, 10, 9, 8. Yeah, I have 3 more picks to see a Soul Salvage potentially. I think Pattern Matcher is a fine option. I do already have several 4-drops though. I don't really want a Bone to Ash at this point. Gorging Vulture is fine. So is Pattern Matcher. I kind of want to just maybe try the Pattern Matcher out. I already have 6 3-drops, and just getting a 4-drop would be fine, I think. Let's just take the Pattern Matcher. And now, geez, really not helping me out here. I guess I could take a Sanitarium Skeleton or a Jungle Hollow. I'm not really looking to splash green, though. I don't really need any of these other cards. I guess we'll take the Skeleton. Maybe there's some matchup where we'll want it. And I guess we'll take a Mind Rot for certain matchups. Overall, not the best packs, but a Soul Salvage would go a long way. Ooh, Blood-Soaked Altar. That's an option. It is kind of an expensive one. Pay 2 life, discard a card, sack a creature, and I create a demon. So I didn't end up getting any ways to get creatures back from the graveyard. I could also just take Ether Gust, put a red or green permanent on top or bottom of its owner's library, their choice. Blood-Soaked Altar seems interesting to me as well. It could work with a Sanitarium Skeleton to be a nice little value engine, but I think I already have a decent late game value package. I'm just going to take the Ether Gust here as a very good sideboard option. And now I guess I will pick up a Salvager of Ruin. Maybe I'll want that in some matchups. I don't really know. Thought Distortion, probably not a card I want. Maybe I just want a second Mind Rot. Yeah, I guess we'll take that. We don't really bring in multiple Mind Rots anyway. Now I could take a Blossoming Sand. No, I don't want Blossoming Sand. Let's take a Prismite. And now just a land. We get another one of these guys. Wow, all of the Feral Abominations. Okie doke. So this deck is looking pretty solid to me. I'm not sure if I found the exact ideal, but I think we'll play 1 Sanitarium Skeleton. It just can help us stall the game, I guess. We didn't really see any Moat Piranhas in that pack. We don't really have a ton of cheap plays, but we do have, I mean, I guess with Double Blade Brand, Sanitarium Skeleton gets a little bit better as well. And, yeah, we're not going to play the Tranquil Cove. Unless we end up splashing white in certain matchups, which I could definitely see happening. I'm not sure I navigated the draft perfectly, but you never really know. We will keep this card preview up in one of the corners. Ah, whoa, that was a big card preview. Oops, I'll bring it back up when the matches start. Let's make these bigger. So we're going to try playing the Villas group creatures separately. So we have a okay curve, not the greatest curve by any stretch of the imagination. I like all the creatures in my deck. Let's see, we have 25 cards and 2 lands here. So that brings me to 23, and then we're just going to cut 1 card. So we have 5 instants and sorceries, to go with the Scholar of Ages. That's probably the lower limit. You don't want too many more than that. We're going to run 18 lands, so we want to make one more cut. I don't think we want to cut anything, really. I mean, all of our cards have a pretty decent spot in the deck. They all have kind of a role that they're filling. I guess the Moat Piranhas doesn't necessarily do as much because it can't attack. Audacious Thief is probably not necessarily where we want to be. We kind of have a big gap here in our curve between 4 and 7. But we're definitely experimenting with some cards that we've never played with before. Where's the card? Display, show preview pane. There we go. Oh my gosh. Let's just put it. Yeah, I guess we'll just leave it where it was, kind of. Okay. We don't want a negate. We don't want Ether Gust. I don't really want a main deck Mind Rot. We don't need any Feral Abomination. We already kind of have top end covered. So we're going to run 18 lands in this deck. I could see cutting an Audacious Thief. I think it's a good card, though. My 3-drops are some of my best cards. A couple pattern matchers. We're going to cut Befuddle. Yeah, Blade's just worse than Blade Brand, I think. Then we'll run all these cards. Let's sort by color. Combine the groups. Yeah, we're definitely going to run, I think, maybe even 10-7-1 maybe. Because we only have one double colored card. And we do have a double black 3-drop, a couple double black 3-drops. So if I convert mana cost. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10, 7, and then Encrypted Caves to help us if we flood out. Seems like a solid enough deck. I really want to try it out, get into some matches. Before I do, though, of course, remember that if you do enjoy the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and all of that good stuff. Let's see how this ends up working out. We're definitely going to learn to see if Vilis is worth going for, of course. And I do think this deck is relatively solid. My curve might look like it's decent, but keep in mind, these are all expensive. And these are Blade Brands, so they don't really count for my curve. I think the Sanitarium Skeleton, I know I was hating on it a lot, but with a couple Blade Brands, and I needed kind of an early play, so it could have a lot more potential than otherwise it would. Okay, let's just make sure there's the game log. We don't need that. Of course, what we do need is to show the chat, so we can say, good luck, friend. Because everyone is our friend here. We don't need to hold these up. And let's just see. Okay, so we can find a good place for this card preview window. Show preview pane. Let's put it in the upper corner. I know the cards are still new, so a lot of the time you might not know what's going on if I don't have this preview pane going up. So let's see how that works. Okay, perfect. It's slightly too big right now. And perfect. I'll make it slightly smaller, and then we're all good. Sorry for taking a little bit of time, but I promise it'll go a long way to helping you guys understand what's going on, especially if you are new to the match. It'll make the cards a little bit bigger for you. Of course, I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger as well, so you can see those cards. But, perfect. Now you'll be able to see the cards. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully that helps you out. Okay, this is definitely a keeper. We have a lot of lands. We have a good way to stall the game with our Moat Piranhas. And, okie doke. Perfect. This is ideal. My opponent has a stop on my upkeep, of course, because don't all good players have those things on upkeep. And we will just play our island, get our Moat Piranhas going. Maybe it's better over here. It does get covered by the stack sometimes. Maybe here it's better. Let's check that out. Oh, that's very good. Just slightly smaller. Okay. I will tweak this while it is not my turn. So it does cover up my phases slightly, but only very slightly. And I'm making it as big as possible. Perfect. Thank you for bearing with me while I make those customizations. I did have to reinstall everything on my computer, so there was a little bit of difficulty there. But this should be pretty good. Let's make our hand slightly smaller. We could play Temple of Silence. I think the play here is just play Swamp, get the skeleton into play. We will use Blade Brand to make the skeleton trade off, and then we can next turn just kind of play Temple of Silence, get back skeleton. Okie doke. So we will scry first, and then play the Cloud Conceer. I don't think we want this. I think we just want to draw lands. Especially because we don't have any of our multiples. Yeah, I'm not liking it down there. Let's just put it back up here. Perfect. Drawing a land is fine. I really want to keep this preview window up because the cards are so new. That could be a good spot for it. Then I'll just have to move this. Perfect. The stack. Perfect. Okay, so they're casting a Wolfkin Bond. I'm okay with that. It gets sleep paralysis just the same. Then we will attack for 2. Yeah, this is really kind of awkward on where I want all my stuff to be. And then I will pass turn. And it's back in the corner that it started in. Oh, Gargos. Okay. Okay. Good thing I have this Blade Brand. Could be useful. We're actually going to hold off on murdering that, because we'd much rather Blade Brand on like our Sanitarium skeleton. Or we could like, yeah, do some good stuff potentially. We can also just kind of block this infinitely. I'm kind of just inclined to just wait and just chump block here. Okay. Yeah, maybe this window's just not going to work. The problem with Gargos is he just gets to fight my stuff, which at a certain point becomes very irritating. So I'm going to try and kill it, I guess, this next turn, and then I can murder this guy. I'll just try to zoom in on the creatures as I play them. Sorry if that was really irritating. I could totally see that being really irritating. We're just going to go for our Blade Brand here. No! Vilis! I was so close to casting you. But I did mill 3 lands, which I guess is kind of helpful. So my plan here is to use this Blade Brand, which gives my Death Touch to my skeleton. And even if they do use a removal spell on my skeleton in response, it's not the end of the world for me. Yeah, that's a catastrophe. That was something I was a little bit afraid of. Was I considered like using my moat piranha instead. Brutal. So when I kill this, it fights a creature. Let's just keep the attacks going and play our thief. We can now just double block this. They already used their shock. Hit me with your best shot, buddy. That's what I thought you'd say. And this card will just win us the race. Oh. Haha! I knew this would come in handy. Heck yes! Because this isn't a spell that technically like targets it. So we just killed the Gargos. Patience is key, folks. Always be patient. We now have lethal next turn. Sanitarium Skeleton is actually being a complete house. Maybe I was wrong about that card. Always be willing to be wrong. And to everyone who survived the preview window apocalypse, where I just desperately look for a place to put my stuff. Okay, this is game. This does damage to any target. I think last time when I was using the preview stuff, oh man, my opponent, so salty. I had a murder and an audacious thief in my hand, dude. You were not winning that game. Sorry to say. Okay, so they are playing a green fatties deck. Target creature is black or red. That does not help against that. They're green-red. So Ether Gust is actually a great card. So we'll put the Ether Gust in. What is our weakest card? We definitely want to keep Scholar of Ages, of course. Sorcerer of the Fang might not be ideal. Let's cut that guy for... Because it doesn't match up well against my opponent's 3/3s. He does match up well against like their 1/2/2, but I'd rather just have an Ether Gust. This is a fine hand on the draw. We will keep it. Keep in mind we do have 18 lands, so we're even more likely to hit our third land drop. And we do have an extra good draw and a lot of potential things to go our way. An Audacious Thief could potentially just really snowball. Yeah, it matches up well against the Leafkin Druid at least. We will definitely just cycle this Blade Brand to draw a card and look for our lands. Okie doke, I'm glad we did that. Land me. That is very unfortunate. Gonna get rid of my 7-drop. We are miles away from that. That's just one of those games where it's like a little bit unlucky. My opponent is also stumbling on mana, so potentially I can still claw my way out of this. They're only stumbling slightly though, so better than nothing, but still quite ineffective. It's just a bad series of draws. We kept a 2-lander on the draw, and we are now 5 more cards into the deck, and it just didn't happen to work out. It happens. You're like 80% a lot of those times, but we are still fine. We still have game 3. We still have potential in this game. I'm just not very optimistic. Okay. Land me. Yeah, that is something, I guess. So we will discard Octoprofit. We just want to potentially get them if they go for Wolfkin Bond. That's why we're not casting this right now. There's also, like, I don't know. There's just some potential that they, yeah. Because if we make them waste their turn, that's a way to get back into it. Oh, of course. Yeah, we can't win this game. Okay, begin sideboarding. There's going to be a lot of combat in this matchup, so maybe Befuddle is fine. Feral Abomination could be a fine option because it does trade with their massive guys. And just blocks a lot of their guys as well. So I could see bringing this in. I could see bringing this in. I think this is a little bit cutesy. Let's just bring in one Feral Abomination. And we will cut an Audacious Thief. Let's just cut both Audacious Thieves. I don't think they match up particularly well against what my opponent's doing. And we'll bring in just two of these guys, maybe. Actually, we'll bring in one of them, and then... No, Sorcerer doesn't match up very well. Just bring in two of those guys. Make our deck a little bit bigger. We'll keep this. It's not ideal, but it's got a bunch of lands, and our deck is very mana hungry, especially since we just sided in 2 more 6-drops. I mean, Audacious Thief isn't horrific if it just trade like oh, why didn't I play my Sanitarium Skeleton? Whoopsie daisies. So I missed out on a point of damage for no reason. Whoopsie daisies. Sorry about that, folks. There's just a bit of a misplay. Barkhide Troll. Well, that's a fine draw. No blocks. I mean, no attacks. Yay, green is good. It means they won't have a shock for my Blade Brand. Always block before you use your combat trick unless there's like a card that does like 4 damage to a blocking creature. And then we'll hold up a fake unsummon. That worked out well. We drew a Scholar of Ages. Not the best draw, but it's better than nothing. And Leafkin drew it, sure. I think since we are not under any immediate pressure, we don't need to use our Pattern Matcher right now. Let's just get back our Sanitarium Skeleton and play him. Pattern Matcher has a lot of potential. We could draw a lot of different things to make that good. Woodland Champion, okay, okay. Such as Octoprofit. Hold up a blue mana, of course, to represent an unsummon. But now we do have multiple Octoprofits, so Pattern Matcher now draws us a card instead of doing nothing, and we will definitely keep both of those cards on top. Those are both good cards. Those actually kind of make me want to not use my Pattern Matcher for a turn because I do want to draw both of those cards. Obviously, drawing Murder is a priority because it gets another instant for my Scholar of Ages to get back. Okay, Wolfkin Bond, sure, and becomes a 5/5 because of the token entering the battlefield, which is kind of nice. Here we are just going to take the 5, and then we will murder this, wait on the Pattern Matcher. No reason to go for it now. At least I don't believe there is a reason. My opponent could still go for a Rabid Bite or something crazy. If they had gone for another creature, we could have killed it in response so that thing couldn't tap for extra mana. Okay, that's a reason. I wasn't sure exactly how Veil of Summer worked. But yeah, that's a reason to wait. To not wait, I mean. Whoopsie daisies. Oh well, get wrecked. Well then, you live and you learn. Such is life. Okay. Pattern Matcher to get my second Octo Profit. And then I'll just chump and get it back with my Sanitarium Skeleton, probably. Don't really want to go for any blocks that are too committing. Wow, that is a aggressive Feral Invocation. Well, the murder not working was kind of bad. Okay. Okay. I see how you're going, opponent. All in. Sure. This is fine for me. So I have 8 mana, so I can go Octoprofit and Sleep Paralysis. And now if I draw my demon, I can cast him, which is awesome. Don't want that. Cloud Conceer is excellent here, as always. I can get back Bladebrand and Murder with my Scholar of Ages. My opponent is still completely color screwed. Let's just block, see what he's got. If he has another Feral Invocation, it's not the greatest, but you know. Okay, he does. He's just going all in on these enchantments. Cloud Conceer. Let's just go for Scholar of Ages here. Get back our Murder and our Bladebrand. Play our Skeleton. And pass. We can just double block this now. He is very color screwed still. Opponent is going all in on these enchantments. Let us Cloud Conceer. Pattern Matcher, eh? Well, Pattern Matcher works with our Gorging Vulture. Hopefully we don't mill our big guy, but you never know. We milled one guy, our Blood Burglar, but not enough. We can get our other Gorging Vulture now. And now we have a nice aerial clock here. And we're going to get another Gorging Vulture here. If we ever draw our big guy, we're just going to win. And we have a Murder if they have any reach creatures or anything of that nature. And just self-mill is not a bad thing. We just get to know more about our deck. And there goes our Villas. But we did mill 3 lands, so you never know. It's always ups and downs. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands in our graveyard. We have 9 lands in play, so we only have 3 lands left of our 11 cards. That card is completely useless. My opponent is still very color screwed. Keep in mind, though, I got very mana screwed game 2. We definitely want to get this flyer into play, though, so we can start to finish my opponent off. And we will just hold on to the Ether Gust. I don't think my opponent has that many answers to flyers, so we'll just hold on to all of our removal for if they have a reach creature. They are still color screwed. Sucks to be you, opponent. And this is where we wanted Cryptic Caves. We'll just sacrifice it to draw a card. That is the value of running Cryptic Caves, folks. Now, even if my opponent does have a removal spell for a flyer or a blocker for a flyer, I still get in and finish them off. Target spell or permanent, so I can counter a spell. And that is the match. Well, that was an interesting match. We didn't get to draw our Villas. We just milled him a couple times, but, you know, such is life. Let's see, are there any changes we would like to make? I think this is a pretty solid base build, and we will just go from there. Overall, pretty happy. I'm sorry that the preview window stuff was like tricky. Last time I did the preview window, I forgot that I didn't have a face camera, so I had the preview window instead. But the format is a little bit more developed than it was when I did that last one, so yeah. Hopefully you know the cards a little bit better at this point. I think siding out the Audacious Thieves was correct. I'm not going to be able to attack with them very much, and I think having a Feral Abomination as draws is much more effective in a matchup where he's going to have Gargoses and stuff like that. And I did get really wrecked by the Veil. I kind of thought about the Veil, but I didn't know that the Veil gave your stuff hexproof. I thought it just like made your stuff unable to be countered. Like I actually like pictured it in my head, that artwork and stuff, but I like didn't really know exactly what it did. Okie doke. I would like to play first. This hand is good. We will keep it. It's got an Audacious Thief, which can be just very punishing for opponents if they do not have an answer, or if we draw a removal spell or a Blade Brand or something. So, always a nice little thing to have in your opening hand, especially in the dark when you don't know whether your opponent is playing a super aggressive deck, a super slow deck, and Swamp might mean they have a lot of removal, but otherwise could just be good for our Audacious Thief. Could be a good... Oh, that was a good draw for our Audacious Thief as well. Because Blade Brand means we can kind of attack with impunity, and it'll trade no matter what. I'm kind of hoping to see a... Oh, Plains. Okay, okay. Duress. Well, you get to take my Blade Brand, opponent. But my Audacious Thief is going to land. And they don't get, like, a ton of valuable information. Duress main deck is not something you want to be doing in Limited, though. It just doesn't have... it. Like, as you saw, my opponent almost whiffed. If I hadn't drawn that Blade Brand, they would have just spent a card, got nothing. Here we're probably just going to attack with the Blade Brand no matter what my opponent plays, just to try and... Oh, this could be really good. Oh my gosh. There's some argument to playing the Octoprophet first to scry. I should have thought of that. But I'm fine just doing this. We wanted to draw land anyway, it worked out. But yeah, I think playing the Octoprophet first was probably correct. Play the Octoprophet. We don't need that land. We don't need the Moat Piranhas because we don't really need defenses at this point. I guess the land is kind of partly defensible, but we're going to play another Octoprophet before we attack this turn anyway. I think. Okay. Maybe not. Okay, now I really want these lands. So we're just going to attack with the Octoprophet. Play our other Octoprophet to just look for lands so we can get back our Scholar and stuff. Hold up Unsummon, of course. Do not want either of these cards. Vengeful War Chief. Okay. Let us send with the Audacious Thief. We'll see what my opponent does. Oh, that was actually really good. We don't mind trading it for a card. With the Vulture. Fill the graveyard for our Scholar. There's a Murder. Perfect, perfect. Another Gorging Vulture. Because now we can get back 2 cards with our Scholar of Ages. My opponent does have a lot of cards in hand, so I'm just going to assume that they have a removal spell of some kind, or a combat trick of some kind. Scuttlemutt, okay. I might go for the double block anyway, just because if it works out, it's really good for me. And also because I just don't want to take 3. I just kind of want to go for things. It's very good for me if it works out. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't. Like, it's kind of bad for me, but like it'll all work out in the end. And now I can just get my Scholar of Ages into play potentially. If I draw a land, it's okay. If I draw a spell, it's okay. Perfect. And now if I draw another land, I can get my Villas into play. This is actually going to be great. Let's move the triggered abilities over here as well and make it bigger. We'll get Murder and Bladebrand. Pretty excellent. So now we can kill the Vengeful Warlord, draw another card, play our Villas at some point. Whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. I'm just going to massacre this guy. I'm at 18 life. It might even be worth chumping with the Vengeful Warlord. That's how good this Villas is going to be. Okay, now it's not worth jumping because we're just going to kill it. So what did my opponent mill? Let's see. They had milled an Epicure of Blood, an Apostle of Purifying Light. That could be a problem. I don't really have any graveyard stuff other than this guy, though. But I'm a black deck, so Apostle's kind of annoying. Griffin Protector, sure. I have a Bladebrand and a Murder. Wow, they do not do anything. Let us Sleep Paralysis this guy. We're just going to murder this guy because he's kind of scarier. Murder this guy. And then we will just attack with everything. Just a lot of damage coming in. Coming in hot. If he does trade, then he's on a 2-turn clock. He knows about the Bladebrand, so that's good to keep in mind. Keep in mind, Scuttlemutt plus protection is kind of a cool combination. You can give the other creature the opponent controls a protection. Oh, oops. Sorry about that. Okay, perfect. My audio is... I always worry that my microphone's not working. Let's just double check something. Oh, thank God. Thank goodness. I was using my... I always worry my microphone's not on when I do these videos. Soul Salvage? Sure. They got back... Oh, I didn't... They got back a Griffin, I think. No, they got back the 5-drop. The Vengeful Warchief, sure. And that's game. Nice little draw off the top there. So they have Soul Salvage, Gorging Vulture, Angelic Gift, Apostle, Epicure. They're running a Duress. They have a decent amount of flyers. They're black-white. So this only is for red or green. Negate, probably not where I want to be. Befuddle could be interesting because they do have some decent creatures that match up well against mine sometimes. Black or red. We aren't really going to splash white just for that, though. Feral Abomination, not really where we want to be. Killing flyers could be relevant. We don't really have any anti-flyer stuff. I just think Befuddle seems like a card that I want in this matchup. And they are a bit slower, so Audacious Thief could be good. Once again, Sorcerer of the Fang, not looking that good. Mind Rot has some potential. Not really liking Moat Piranhas as much. I'll just play Mind Rot instead. The matchup is a bit slower. The Moat Piranhas, it seems like there's a lot of flyers going back and forth here. So I don't really need Moat Piranha as much anyway. Okay, this is a great hand. I have my one remaining 2-drop creature and into a 3-drop. And I have both my colors, and I have my caves, and everything is peachy. Hunky-dory, as they say in the business. There is my Mind Rot. Just going to try and keep a high life total. I can go like perfect curve out, Blood Burglar, Gorging Vulture, Pattern Matcher, get my second Gorging Vulture. Bladebrand is a fine draw. Let's go, Blood Burglar. Be the hero you were meant to be. Gain me that life. I can even maybe snipe 2 of my opponent's last cards with Mind Rot if they don't duress it or something. The 2-mana 2/2 does match up well against some of the things they could be doing. Hanged Executioner, eh? Let's gain that life. Hopefully we do not mill our second Gorging Vulture, but that's always a risk. It is a risk we are willing to take. We didn't hit it. Let's go. We milled some good cards, but I'm not that concerned. We gained 3 life in the process, and we need to find lands anyway, so milling some creatures is not the end of the world. Okay, they are playing some real clunkers. So I could attack in and then use my Blade Brand, but they do have 2 mana up. What cards could work for 2 mana? They could have a Pump Spell, which doesn't do anything. They could have a Blade Brand of their own. Sure, let's just attack. Which is fine. Just kill 2 of their guys. Get a little bit of extra value and go up to 27 life. Being at a high life total is always a little bit nice. Vengeful War Chief, sure thing. So this turn I'm going to play my Swamp, and then I'm going to play my Pattern Matcher on my Gorging Vulture, and then the next turn I can go Mind Drop plus Audacious Thief, and then have Blade Land for the turn after that. Or I could even go Gorging Vulture plus Audacious Thief. We are not going to attack because we don't want to make them put a +1/+1 counter on that. We're just fine if the game stalls here. We're going to be sniping 2 of their cards with Mind Rot, hopefully 2 of their removal spells, and hopefully they play 1 spell this turn. Angelic Purge, sure. That is fine for me. Now if they play like a mediocre creature, we can just get their last 2 cards with this Mind Rot. Sure, we shall wait. Perfect. Oh, yes. Okay, that's fine. We're fine with that. Keep in mind this can be used. So now we are just going to play land. Actually, yeah, we're going to play an untapped land. Mind drop my opponent's last 2 cards. They had a Mind Rot of their own and a Swamp. Play my... Let's play Gorging Vulture. What are we going to mill? We milled Meteor Golem and Audacious Thug. Okay. So we, in our graveyard, do we have any instants? We have Mind Rot and Blade Brand, which we can get back if we do draw our 7-drop. But currently we do not want to double block this because then my opponent can use Hanged Executioner and wipe our board, and then we don't have a real good way to block the Vengeful Warlord for the future. What we want to do is get this Audacious Thief into play, and then kind of go to town later. And we can like double block and then Blade Brand, so we still do not come out too far behind. And we're at 20 life here because we have been gaining a lot of life. Oh my gosh, Befuddle, you beautiful beast. Oh my gosh, that guy's staying on top. We have 5, 6, 7. That is going to be a house. We want to get this Hanged Executioner out of here. We will double block. Wait for him to go to damage. He's going to use the Hanged Executioner, which works out really well for me, because now we will Befuddle. And we will then Blade Brand our guy. And now we have our 8th land. We're slamming Villas. Villas has seemed very attainable in this deck. It seems like we could have played him like majority of our games, which is really powerful and really insane. You even draw an extra card off your Audacious Thief if you have Villas. So now we can just play our Villas. Boom. Beat that, buddy. 8 mana, 8/8 flyer. And they concede to the Villas. Oh, good. Let's go. Okay. Let's see. Are there any changes we want to make? The deck has seemed solid to me. The Sorcerer of the Fang has seemed very bad. So we are going to cut the Sorcerer of the Fang for this Befuddle. And we'll see how that works out. I don't actually know how. Let's just keep the Sorcerer in. Let's not keep the Sorcerer in. The format has seemed like it is not conducive to the Fang. There's just a lot of 3/3s running around. There's not a lot of 2/2s that it can block. Even the smaller creatures are oftentimes utility creatures that aren't attacking anyway. And overall, I have not been super impressed. Okay, we are on the play. We're going to keep this hand. We've got 1-drop into 2-drop. We've got our shields already up. All we need to draw are some lands. And we even have a Gorging Vulture. We have a Blade Brand to draw some more cards. And hopefully our opponent's playing an aggressive deck with that black-red land. And I am fine. I've got my shields up. Even if I don't draw land for a couple turns, I do still have just some stuff going on. Like if I get to my 3rd land and then my 4th land, my Octoprophet can help me. Black-red seems like a great matchup for this start. Let's just get this Gorging Vulture into play. And we milled 3 lands and a Gorging Vulture. So we gained 1 life, which is nice. Let us say hello. Good luck, friend. I would like to get a trophy on my first attempt on Magic Online. That'd be awesome, but it's important not to be results-oriented. Being results-oriented leads to unhappiness. They milled a Soul Salvage, a Gorging Vulture, and a Blood Burglar. They look like they're a relatively aggressive deck, which means my Moat Piranha could potentially just brick wall them forever, which would be awesome. Let's go. Get in there, skeleton. I'm really fine with this trade. It's a good one for me. But we're going to wait on the Blade Brand. It could actually just be a very good spell, especially with this skeleton here. Dagger Sail, Aeronaut, sure. We're just going to attack in with the skeleton again. And then we'll play our Octoprophet. Sure, this Dagger Sail Aeronaut will hit us, but scrying into more action or lands, or so I'm not even sure we want more lands here. Let's just put both of these on the bottom, because we kind of have all of the lands we need to cast all of our spells right now. So we kind of just want to find more spells and then draw lands naturally as the game goes on. We have 8 lands left in our deck, so roughly 1 out of every 3 of our draws will be a land. We are going to actually use removal spell on this Dagger Sail, because both of our small flyers are kind of out of the mix here. Okay, this is fine for us. We just have to get rid of those flyers. See, we drew a land anyway. Perfect. And we will put that on the bottom. Sleep Paralysis, that guy. And then we'll get in for 3 of our own. How do you like that? How do you like them apples, matey? So we've now scryed 3 lands to the bottom. And we have 3 lands in our graveyard, and we have 5 lands in play. So we have only 6 lands active in our deck. So 3/4 of our draws are going to be spells, which is great because we can cast like every spell in our deck, except Scholar, Meteor Golem, and the other massive guy, Villas. Oh, that's a really good draw. Okay. Okie doke. Let's just murder that guy. Their Soul Salvage is already gone. Hopefully they don't have multiples of that. Let's just attack here. And hopefully if they like have a removal spell, they use it on our Moat Piranhas. And then we can get really good value to this Blade Brand. Interesting. I considered double blocking the guy, but he did just murder my, like, that could have been the correct play to double block it. Rats. Such a weird situation to be in. Okay. So now we are in fine shape. Audacious Thief probably is going to die this turn. I'd have to bet. Yeah, that was probably a mistake. I should have double blocked with the skeleton so I could just use the Blade Brand. I wasn't thinking about them using a removal spell after I blocked. Because I feel like, why wouldn't you do it before I blocked? They must have drawn it off of the Audacious Thief. This time we got him. Hopefully. So he just drew it for the lulz. My opponent milled a Dagger Sail, Pack Mastiff, Chandra's, and Gorging Vulture. Another one of them. Jeez, they milled lots of good cards off that. They have milled one land in total. That's insane. Oh, goodness. That's not good for me. Yikes. We don't need both of these. Let's just cycle through to find more answers. Okay, perfect. Have we milled our second Octoprophet? No, we have not. Perfect. We shall play this. Pattern Matcher our Octoprophet. Okie doke. Get more scries in. And we do shuffle our lands back in, but that's not that bad because we do have the Villas that we want to potentially draw into and have enough lands to cast it. So this is 5/6. We're going to offer, we will accept this trade here. We don't want to take too much damage from flying. We just want to get our feet under us. Sure, Audacious Thief. Sure thing, buddy. We're just gonna... Ooh, there's the Villas. We'll put that on the bottom and that on the top. Because now Villas is coming to town. Oh, you know it is. Santa Claus is coming to town. We can chump with Sanitarium Skeleton, then get it back. Target creature that was dealt damage this turn. They have 6/7 mana. So they could potentially kill 2 of these guys anyway. So they're going to kill 2 of those guys if I block with both. If I don't block with both, though, they can potentially remove one of them. Keep their guy around. I kind of want them to use a removal spell, though. So I'm just going to block with this guy. Because then if they use a removal spell, they don't have a removal spell for Villas. Like, if he uses a murder on this guy, I'm very happy. And now if he uses Ogre guy, that means he's using his whole turn on this. Perfect. Perfecto. Boom. Read it and weep, mate. Maybe you're supposed to wait until you have 9 mana to cast Villas, but that seems incorrect. I can just use this 4 times. Draw 8 cards. I'm not going to do it 4 times, but... If he attacks me, I draw 2 cards. When you lose life, draw that many cards. Yeah, I don't know if my opponent knows how Vilas works. Because I am definitely willing to take that 2 damage to draw 2 cards. 2 swamps, sure. I can just attack back for a ton of damage. This is 3, 6, 11, 14. I can pay 4 life to kill this. Oh my gosh. That's disgusting. Holy heck. Jeez. I should have done that before combat. I could have just won on the spot. I'm going to win on the spot anyway because I'm just going to Agonizing Siphon their face. Heck yes. Vilas, my man. Broker of Blood. That is awesome. That is seriously cool. He just won me the game. Like, what the heck? Okay, let's look at their deck. So they have this Ogre. They have a bunch of red cards. I'm going to really want to bring in my sideboard blue card to help deal with their flyers. As I suspected, the 2-mana 1/3 is completely useless in this matchup too. Just completely destroyed by every card they have. Yeah, this seems great. I am very excited. So Ether Gust coming in because it does do red or green, and they do have a lot of red cards I want to deal with. Moat Piranhas is good against their vast number of 3-mana 2/2s. Barony Vampire. I kind of want to bring in Prismites just because it does trade with their stuff. Sanitarium Skeleton, not as ideal. So we'll bring in 1 copy of that, and we will cut the Befuddle because we don't really want to shrink its power. We just want to deal with it. So we bring in these. We're bringing in Ether Gust and Prismite for Befuddle and Sanitarium Skeleton because they do have a lot of the audacious guys. Maybe I do want this Befuddle. What would I cut? I could cut. Yeah, none of my other stuff is worth cutting. We're just going to submit. I think Prismite is worth running when they have so many of the 3-mana 2/2s. But you never know. We're going to keep this hand. This is a fine hand. On the play, we're going to get there a decent amount of the time, and it didn't look like a lot of their 3-drops are big enough to deal with an Audacious Thief on defense. Oh, we're on the draw, right, of course. But still, this is a especially fine hand on the draw. Still kind of holds true that they don't really deal with our Audacious Thieves all that well. Blood Burglar, sure. We brought in our Prismite for just this occasion. I feel it. I'm going to draw a land here. Let's go. Gorging Vulture. Thank goodness it's not an Audacious Thief. But this is fine. We will definitely trade here. Wow, they milled 4 spells. They're very good at milling spells. Land me. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Audacious Thief this turn. We want to get him onto play as early as possible because then we can like maybe draw into more spells. And also his guys still don't block it very well. The longer we wait to play it, the worse it gets for us from a blocking perspective. But so far our stuff kind of matches up decently. Oh, another Gorging Vulture. Nice. They milled. Oh my gosh, they are not good at milling spells. I guess they milled 2 lands that time. So now our Audacious Thief gets to attack, which is really good for us. Get in there, Audacious Thief. My hero. Oh, nice. Another Gorging Vulture. Perfect, perfect. Sure, we'll trade that. We should have attacked with the Prismite too, but we didn't know that they would block. So I guess attacking with Prismite would have been foolish. Let's just get that Cloudkin Seer in there. Blade Brancher. A little bit of extra draw. Looking for that land, of course. We have Vilas. All we have to do is survive until Vilas and try to bait out their murder before that Vilas comes down. We also have a lot of our flying defense. The defense. Oh my gosh, gorging vultures galore. I wonder how close they are to milling out. Probably not that close. In this specific scenario, we are actually going to attack and then play Blade Brand on my opponent's creature to try and draw land. We didn't find it, but we get the Blood Burglar out. And Blood Burglar is really good here because he kind of negates one of their attacks, which is why I'm willing to play him, even though it might not be perfectly optimal in certain scenarios. We really wanted to hit a land to play a Gorging Vulture because hitting lands is really good in this spot, but it's not the end of the world because if our Blood Diviner hits, it's kind of like as if we negated their attack anyway. Steel Overseer, yikes. And another Gorging Vulture. They are getting dangerously close to milling out. Not really, but it feels kind of like it. Start playing my own. Did I mill 3 lands and emote piranhas? Of course I did. But, you know, such is life. We have a lot of extra stuff. We are fine. They only have 2 cards in hand. And they have not drawn any dagger sails, and we have another Gorging Vulture, so we are in fine shape. Let us attack. Sure. That is fine by me. Fine trade-off. Haha, we drew 2 more cards. Nice. We only milled 1 land that time. We did mill our murder, but we can get that back. We are still winning the decking race, too. Pretty high life total as well. And we're only down 5 life points in the actual race, too, so this Prismite was actually doing pretty good work. Let's see, my opponent has milled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lands, so they have 7 spells left in their 13 cards. That's reasonable. Hopefully they don't have a way to keep one of these vultures alive in this combat. Thank goodness. So now we can just use our sleep paralysis and be all set. Mask of Immolation, sure. We're just going to use that now. Because if we draw a couple more lands, we can just... I mean, they can technically use it to ping our guy. Better than the alternative, I think. I mean, this guy's not blocking, that's why we attack, because they'll just spend 2 mana, equip this, sacrifice it. Oh, dear me. Oh, dearie, dearie me. Goblin Smuggler, eh? We really need to hit 2 lands in a row here. I would love to hit 2 lands in a row. Thank goodness there's 1 land. Let's just play our Pattern Matcher. We don't actually get any value out of it, but it does block his guys quite well, so we'll take it. No, we will not use his ability. And the next turn we can play Meteor Golem. Destroy a flyer if they play one, or this guy. And then we can play Scholar, maybe. Maybe attacking last turn was a mistake. Hard to say. But Pattern Matcher does block pretty well. I don't know exactly what they got with their second one with the Soul Salvage. I think they got a Dagger Sail or not. Oh, they got a Gravedigger, right? Right. That makes sense. Pack Mastiff, okay. Oh, that's terrifying. Oh, come on, give me a land, I beg of you. because they can just pump it up after I've not been able to block it because of the Goblin Smuggler. I just really want to be able to kill the Goblin Smuggler. Goblin Smuggler must die. That's one way to kill a Goblin Smuggler. That was so good for us. That was exactly what we needed. Killing that Goblin Smuggler. Nice. We just have to survive. They're going to deck themselves soon. That is not what my opponent meant to do. He just pinged his own guy. Only if we control 5. We do control 5 or more, but we're not going to use that ability because we want to get to 7. Here we will definitely trade with the Pack Mastiff. Unless they attack with both, in which case we'll just eat the Gravedigger. Though, I think trading with Pack Mastiff is probably solid no matter what here. Audacious Thief, okay. Sure. Give me a land. You know, for a non-land, that was a pretty solid draw. Gotta make sure I don't accidentally sacrifice the land, but now I have 3 blockers. They have only 1 card in hand. All my blockers are pretty good. I can go Audacious Thief here, this guy here, and be in pretty good shape. And if I do draw a land ever, I mean, spells are good, lands are good, I'm in a good spot. Wow, I can't believe I staved him off this game. That was kind of crazy. My, Gorging Vultures were just so good. Incidental life gain, trading off with theirs. I just happened to match up pretty well with what they were doing. And they sacrificed their guy incorrectly slightly, so that was kind of bad. But even if they had an extra 1-1 here, I think I'd be in fine shape. Act of treason. Okay. Okay. I think we got this, though. Oh, if they get to sacrifice, that's kind of a bummer. Nice little combo in red, though. So they're going to be able to kill all of my guys, essentially. But they'll only be left with a 2-2 on board. And then if I draw my Meteor Golem, I can kill their last guy. Okay, murder, sure. That actually might not have been correct, because now they can't sacrifice that guy, which is actually a huge deal. Oh, they can. Oh, that's brutal. Okay, now we need to draw land to win this game. Come on, land. I believe in you. They have no cards. Octo Prophet. Is Octo Prophet good enough? No. Actually, it could be. It depends. Top it. Top it. No, we don't want the second land. Oh my gosh, that's so brutal. If we draw on a land there, we just Meteor Golem this guy, win the game. As it is, we have to hope they don't top deck something, which could happen, but I don't think it's likely. They have probably all spells in deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can Meteor Golem the Mask of Immolation, which is key. Get on my level, Pack Mastiff. Oh, no, I do die. If I had drawn a land to Meteor Golem them... Oh, yeah, we die. If I had drawn a land to Meteor Golem them, I would have won. But as it is, I lost a very close game. That definitely could have been won. Oh, man, that's brutal. Final game, folks. Let's go. Negate is an option. I kind of want my skeleton back, though I don't really think it's not very good. The Mind Rod actually has some potential, but Fuddle has some potential. I kind of want to keep in this guy just to go for it. Wow, I can't believe we did all that work and then just lost like some dumb stuff at the end. Let's bring in this Prismite, even though they do have the extra thing. We're on the play this time, so maybe we don't need the second Prismite. Yeah, let's just run it back. This seemed like a solid configuration. If we'd hit our 7th land in that game, we would have won, so I'm not that sad. If we'd hit our 7th land on that final turn, we would have killed their 2/2, and then they would have, like, it didn't really matter what they drew, I don't think. We could have just killed their Pack Mastiff, and then they wouldn't have been able to get through. But, you know, we had a decent number of outs, didn't hit them, got to just focus in on this next game. All you can do. Very close match, though. All came down to 1 life point, essentially. I think I might have put myself dead on board there. I could have just sacked the Cryptic Caves and maybe found it out. So that was probably a mistake. Let's go, deck. I believe in you. I could actually see Mind Rot being okay in this matchup. What would we want it over, though? Maybe Octoprofit? I don't know. Let's go. This is a solid enough hand. We're on the play. If we hit 1 land, we win. Or we're in very good shape to win. We have 18 lands in the deck, so I say this is a very good keep. Because we got Blood Burglar into Audacious Thief. Booyah. Let's go. And then Audacious Thief can find our second Audacious Thief if we hit a land for Pattern Matcher. Pack Mastiff, sure. We'll offer the trade. We definitely just want to be getting in. Perfect. Oh my gosh, this is heavenly. And then we can Pattern Matcher before we play anything on the Audacious Thief. Or we can just Sleep Paralysis their 3-drop. That's also an option. So we can get in for a hit. That might even be better. We'll have to see what happens. Especially if it's a flyer. They just murder it. Crazy. They just used a murder. Moat Piranhas, and then we will just Blade Brand it up. We don't want to just use our Pattern Matcher for no value. Because their deck does have a decent amount of value. Okay, now we can be relatively okay using a Pattern Matcher for no value. Let's just play it. Get our 3/3 into play. And then just see what happens. We now have 2 good blockers for his Audacious Thief. Hopefully he does not have a Blade Brand of his own. I don't think we saw any of them. We'll double block. So he just sacrificed his creature to draw a card and lose life, which is pretty good for us, I'd say. Except he got back both of them. Happens, but, you know, he's not really going anywhere. Octoprophet, let's go. Now we can get our second Octoprophet with our... Oh, that's really good. Actually, it's not really that good. Put it on top. We'll look for a land. We're fine with that. Because we do want to get up to 8 mana at some point. Maybe scrying that second land to the top was a bit aggressive, but you never know. Okay, so Mask of Immolation is in play. I guess we don't technically have another... We don't even have triple black, so we can't, like, do too much. Maybe we should start attacking. I think we'll wait until we have 2 blockers back. Just Goblin Smuggler. Oh, that's a problem. We're going to have to kill that. Okay. So we're going to tap this thing for all time. Just get in for a huge hit here. Let's just tap this guy for all... Actually, we'll tap this guy. For all eternity. Because this guy making things unblockable is way scarier and annoyinger. Do we want to attack for 9? Then 1 removal spell. Let's just attack for 6. Maybe scrying that land to the top was a huge mistake. Could totally happen if that is the case. But after I play the second Octoprophet, I'm going to be all good draws from now there. So hopefully we just draw a spell next turn. These Audacious Thieves are really annoying, though. Very terrifying. Opponent is at 8 lands already. They have another Soul Salvage, or a Gravedigger, or... Oh, please not another Soul Salvage. Oh, no. Okay, just give me a murder off the top, I beg of you, deck. I believe in you. Keep in mind, my opponent is doing quite a bit of work to facilitate this. They're kind of spending 2 cards to draw an extra card. Oh my gosh, that's insane. Top. We're going to send my opponent to 8. Then we will murder their blocker and win the game, hopefully. Sure. They go to 7 here. Like, sure, they have a lot of cards in hand. But what do you do with cards? You play them. And I'm going to kill their big blocker that they're going to play. Play an 8-drop. Gorging Vulture, sure. Hopefully they don't gain too much life. Okay, they gained 2 life. That's a bit annoying. Pack Mastiff, sure. I should have kept Blade Brand on top. Yeah, that was a mistake. That could cost me the match. What a weird block. We'll make them spend the mana on the Pack Mastiff. Kill the Gorging Vulture. So now they're at 6. So my creatures are lethal if they do not hold back something. And I'm at 15, so I'm kind of chilling. I have Blade Brand coming off the top, which is kind of a free roll. I should have kept the Blade Brand. So then I could... Oh my gosh, they're still attacking? That's insanity. They're going to go to 5. So they have drawn a lot of cards compared to me, which is kind of worrisome. I didn't know they would run 2 Soul Salvages. Man, I'm so sad that we are maybe going to lose this match to like this type of shenanigan. Let's just do this now. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm so bad. Oh no. Looks to draw a spell, just completely chokes it instead. Oh my gosh. I just really want to get rid of that guy. Wow, I choked that so badly. Oh my gosh. This stupid Mask of Immolation completely ruined me this game. Because otherwise I would have had the Audacious Thief done. That's why Sleep Paralysis is not the greatest deck card ever. Oh my gosh. You know what I really want to draw is the Agonizing card that just does 3 to their face. Goblin Smuggler, sure. I don't know if this is going to be good enough, but you never know. If they go to 3, I have a chance. And it seems likely they're going to go to 3 by attacking me with this. I don't know if they sided in the Goblin Smugglers, but whatever it is, I'm very sad that we are going to lose. Because in game 2, we would have won if we just run a land. And in this game, I don't know. It just seems kind of sad that they had both their Soul Salvages in a spot where they both ended up working out pretty easily. So my opponent goes to 3. And I have 2 draws at my Agonizing thing. Gravedigger. Okay. Getting back a Gorging Vulture. Of course you are. Please whiff. Please just hit 4 lands, I beg of you. Don't gain any life. Of course they gained 3 life. Because that's just how it works. That is so sad. Okay, Cloud Conceer. Yep, I lost because I scryed that one land at the top, probably. Probably just hosed me. I don't know why I scryed the land at the top. I had no spells in hand. And we lose. We have lost. That is the most sad thing. This Moat Piranhas was useless. Would have been good, but all these Goblin Smugglers just really got me. And this Mask. If my opponent hadn't drawn Mask of Immolation or both Soul Salvages, we would have won. But such is life. At least I think we would have won. I have no idea. Oh my gosh, yep. Wow, they just take my Defender to spite me. Because they know I have nothing. Yep. GG, opponent. Oh, I just really wanted a trophy. It's brutal. Well, it happens. You can't win them all. Yeah, it is. I'm gonna give myself a bit of a break because it is late at night. I'm trying to get a video out for all you folks, and I'm not like mad about it. I'm just like not gonna play my best at 3 a.m. So happens. Kind of sad, but you know, such is life. I think our deck was pretty good. Learned a lot about the format. Villas actually performed. Yeah, we just were one land away from winning that entire match. So, yep. And also, if we'd scryed, if we'd not like blown it with our Blade Brand, like if our completely like put that in the wrong order, we could have won. Like if we hadn't just gone for that when we knew our opponent had a removal spell, essentially, that was really bad as well. So that type of thing happens sometimes. That 3 a.m. lifestyle. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, type hashtag Broker of Blood in the comment section down below to let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video. And I really did hope you enjoyed it. Remember that if you did enjoy the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel to get updates whenever I post new content. Let me know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. I do want to give a big shout out to all of my patrons over on patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. I don't actually have the credits thing up yet because I haven't fixed it up on my computer yet, but thank you so much to everyone who supports the channel over on the Patreon. I really do appreciate you. If you want to support the channel, be sure to on Patreon, be sure to check out patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. That's going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.